Welcome to the cast pod. The track you're hearing is Xenoblade Chronicles. I've got the number 3. It's 3. Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles has a consistently good track record of amazing tracks. And it's no surprise. And when I heard that they're making a sequel and a third one, I was like, oh my god. Yes, I need to listen to these, even though I've not played the games. I have to listen to these. My life depends on it. My wife will leave me if I don't listen to it. So I did. And you know what? I fucking love these soundtracks. They are so good. But there are quite a few specific tracks I do like in this, because most of it is atmospheric, admittedly. But man, I fucking love these tracks. They're so good. But Formidable Enemy is one that's interesting because it really utilises, rather than this iconic sort of symphonic metal sound that Xenoblade has, which it pretty much is, I think. I could be mistaken. You know, I feel like that's what it is for the most part. But this has a underlying piano playing through it, and it sounds fucking incredible. Like, it's crazy actually how fucking good this is, because it's got like this walking piano line, for lack of a better term, and it just adds so much to the track. Like, insane amounts of detail. And that's what made me fall in love with this track specifically, because it's just such a fascinating example of, you know, this much detail, and even like a second melody, which I learned in composition as well, can add so much. Yeah, it adds so much character. That's why it's pretty important. So, you know, it's interesting. Not sure what else to add to this really. Like, it's just interesting symphonic bits. There's like an interesting breakdown and just a few bridges. But, like, compositionally, it's pretty much perfect. You know, I wouldn't expect anything less for Xenoblade Chronicles. And yeah, the composer is seriously fucking goated. Like, whoever this man is, whoever this woman is, whoever, I want to kiss him. So, yeah. So, for the life hack tip thing, this is a cooking one this time. There's more to do with prep actually, not really cooking but prep. This is an interesting one I found a while ago when I used to make salads with like mini plum tomatoes or cherry tomatoes, whatever you use. But I used to use scissors to cut them, and there was a problem with squirting them everywhere. Like, they just fucking went everywhere all the time. It was annoying as hell. And that pretty much meant there was a clean up thing afterwards, obviously. It's kind of like, I don't want to deal with this. So I tried to find a solution. And eventually, I believe I found one. And this came in the form of essentially doing the right thing. No, when doing it with scissors or a knife, you basically have to not apply much pressure and make an incision. You know, treat it sort of like surgery, I suppose. Because we've all done surgery before. I'm just kidding, I don't think we have. Or have we? Probably in our dreams, but that's another thing to talk about. But yeah, you have to basically slice it so that you can see that it's sliced. And this will then stop any pressure from causing issues. Yeah, there's a common thing about tomatoes actually. Like, the problem is when you cut things, it can slip easily. This is a second tip actually, 2 for 1. When you're cutting things, a dangerous part of that essentially is allowing it to I'm concentrating here. Yeah, it's basically allowing it to apply too much pressure when you're cutting it with a knife. If you're applying too much pressure, that probably means you're not cutting it right, or the knife is too dull, or something like that. Typically it's because you're using the wrong knife. In the case of tomatoes, you should be using a serrated knife. I've always used a serrated knife, and it works perfectly every fucking time. That's literally the easiest time I've had cutting vegetables is with a serrated knife. Not a fucking blade, a knife. A serrated knife, I mean. So, yeah, that's number 1. Anyway, this tip is interesting because I think, what do you call it? Because it does avoid some mess, and the cleanup obviously won't exist with this. So it's interesting. It's certainly something to look out for because I think it can be very helpful. Because, yeah, I'm quite a fan of vegetables like tomatoes and cucumber. Although you don't really cut cucumber and have it squirt everywhere, but some do contain it. They contain a filling, and you want to avoid that as much as possible. So obviously, you just do the old slow cut. So wait until there's actually a cut in there, and then you just go for it. And then not too fast. I think that's the important thing. It's about rhythm as well. That's the thing I noticed when I was doing them. Yeah, so that basically avoids any sort of mess. It's hard to do with harder vegetables, I will say, so probably not doable with carrots, I don't think. Could be, I don't know, not tried it, but we'll wait and see. Anyway, let's move on to the first topic. Here's a topic I probably haven't spoken much about, but it's interesting. Yeah, so I'm probably going to talk about this later in the week as well, because there might be a follow-up. But I've basically been to a dentist briefly, and I see I can't get an appointment yet, for one reason or another. It seems to be a later one, but I'm only going there because of a toothache I had. It started a while ago. I might have mentioned it briefly in the previous episode. And this was causing me agonising pain. Yeah, I think I did mention it actually. It's like an 8 out of 10 pain. It's so bad I couldn't concentrate. So, I was certainly worried about this. Yeah, as you should be. Because this is quite an unusual feeling, it's quite an unusual pain. There's just so many things wrong with this, and I had a reason to be worried. So, essentially I got my arse into gear and finally looked for an appointment. Again, that's coming later, so that happened. Yeah, and I wanted to talk about how my teeth have basically stayed the same since childhood because they're always crooked, they're always sort of bending inwards and stuff, like they're grown in such fucking weird ways. Like literally, you've probably never seen teeth like these. Yeah, for some reason it reminds me of the Simpsons sketch where they fucking what was it? Oh fuck, I forgot what it was. Yeah, it's one of the references of the dentist in The Simpsons. They're showing the big British smiles. It's literally my teeth with all those pictures. Yeah, it's probably more like the one where the tooth is going through the face. Yeah. It's bizarre. So I'm going through that at the moment, and basically my teeth have been weird all the time. There's been moments where I thought it's wobbly, but moments that it's not been wobbly. So there wasn't really any cause for alarm, given that these were my adult teeth and the final teeth, obviously. So I find it very bizarre. Yeah. So, for years I didn't bother with caring for my teeth. I brushed once per day because that was all my time allowed for. And yeah, I see my teeth still got out of hand. Like, it's weird. It's strange how bad it is. Hang on, let's thought something bad happened there. Yeah, somebody's editing this video footage and his mic's muted. And this not there it is. It's good. Yeah, so my teeth have gone weird, and it's hard to say what happened to my teeth exactly without knowing the details about teeth, like where the positions are, what they're called. So it's weird. But I'll go through it like one by one, like per teeth from each side, I guess. Start from the middle and assume that it's all symmetrical until I say so. two front teeth, the top and bottom are fine. The fourth teeth, they're bad on both. The top one's worse. It's like it's behind my front teeth. It's just fucking scary. It's so bizarre. Yeah, and then the teeth after that. Bottom right tooth is in line with that tooth for some reason. The fourth one there. But the left one is in front. As I said, I've got a fucking mishmash of teeth here. Like, really fucking crooked. Really fucked up and deformed. It's just nuts. And the top ones. Well, the front teeth. No. That's basically right at the front of my face. It looks like I've got vampire teeth to an extent. But it's worrying. Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, what? Okay, sort of next to these anyway, on top. The other teeth are sort of around the back, the molars I think they are called. It's sort of a bit back. Weirdly enough, my front top teeth, they're all fine. You know, there isn't any problem with them, which is very fucking bizarre. But my bottom teeth, on the other hand, tons of problems. So, on the left, yeah, of course it's behind the tooth I mentioned before. And my wisdom tooth hasn't come out properly on the left. Also, some teeth feel very short, so it's very worrying in that sense. Because they shouldn't be that short, I don't think. On the right, similar sort of issue with one of them. But the rest seem fine. And the wisdom tooth for some reason feels chipped, which I don't know how that's even possible, because I barely chewed this side of my face. But yeah, that's like my teeth situation. It's very fucking worrying and very bad. And stupidly enough, I decided not to get the braces as a kid. I decided against that option because I didn't want the pain. Not knowing that this would be more painful and uncomfortable in the future. So I wish I went back and did it, to be honest. I wish someone told me, like, oh, you know, in the future, this could have great benefits for you. You can avoid massive pain, but no. And yeah, because of that, I didn't really get any fucking anywhere. It's kind of a sad situation too, because that could have potentially saved my teeth. Yep, the option for free fucking braces. It's like, yeah, please, but I'll take that now in an instant. But I don't know. I'm sort of worried about the pain still, believe it or not. And the thing that worries me about is if painkillers don't work, or even just some numbing gel or something, what do I do? And also, how do I eat as well? It's very fucking strange. I don't know what to do about that exactly. Because there is actually in the dentist that I'm registered to, I noticed an advertisement for Invisalign, which is like £1,000 fucking pound, like 2,000 almost. Too expensive. But Invisalign is tempting because it seems like the thing for me. It's a more natural version of braces, basically, and it seems to be not exactly a longer treatment, but it's not. I'm not sure if it's even more effective. I don't know, but it seems more painless than the other options, so that might be the best thing for me, believe it or not. Just strange, because I wouldn't have expected that, to be honest. So the site I'm considering at the moment, and it might help with my speech, because this is the other thing. I forgot to mention actually with the teeth. Yeah, when I close it, it's there's gaps everywhere. You know, as I said, some feel like they're buried underneath the gums, but others not so much. And some of it is on the skin of my teeth. I'm just kidding, I just wanted to say that. But yeah, the rest is true, not the skin on the teeth. Yeah, like, I want this to be treated, to be honest. I want to see if my speech improves as a result. Would be very fucking handy. You know, like there's no gaps in my front teeth where it matters most. Although, yeah, you can't really speak by moving your tongue to the sides, which is weird. Never noticed that before. I wonder if it's possible in there. Yeah, so I mainly want to see, assuming that I haven't got a tooth infection or something like that, something crazy, on my left side where I've been having the pain and the discomfort, then I don't know, I might just have to ask about getting it straightened out. You know, once and for all, even if it's not perfect, because it probably won't, let's be honest. You know, if there's a size difference, like literally, that's going to cause problems. But having them straightened, I think, is important, no doubt. So I think I'll have to go with that option. Trying to edit this video. What the fuck am I saying in this video? I don't know, I'll leave it in anyway. Yeah, teeth are a weird thing, and this has sort of got me thinking maybe I need to brush twice a day. Because as I said, I've been brushing once per day for fucking years now. I've done it since school. And, you know, I'm skeptical about brushing because, to be honest, I thought it was a myth. I sort of briefly remember, I think it was a Vsauce video quite a few years ago, maybe. Might have been from a drama channel, I don't know, but they're making videos about things that people believe aren't actually true or something. And I remember something about teeth brushing, and basically they're calling the dentist device a bunch of bullshit, saying you need to brush once per day, but I don't know, I've had random issues here and there without doing that, and it's hard to say or even see even if you notice any difference sooner. You know, if you start brushing twice a day immediately, which I might try to do now, obviously, there's no like fast affecting method there. You know, it just doesn't exactly work, and it kind of sucks. So yeah, it's concerning. Yeah, I want straight teeth. It's not for really any other reason. It's just so I'm not in constant discomfort. What? God, I'm already losing my teeth. But the other big problem is I noticed that I keep hitting my gums with my teeth somehow because they grow. Okay, I forgot to mention this as well. They've sort of grown inwards and some outwards. But for some reason, this means that your face doesn't form with the gums properly. So I'm basically hitting my cheek side of the mouth with my teeth, and that's causing some problems, especially when I eat, because it's like massive pain and discomfort. It's unbelievable, and I don't really want to deal with that. And then I've had issues all these years with various different things in my teeth, like some vegetables I eat, some vegan food I eat can get stuck in the teeth worse than I remember meat being for some reason. For some reason it's not really talked about, but yeah, there is literally a problem with that. Like you get bits stuck between the teeth, and at least in my teeth anyway. So it gets really annoying. I've had debris just stuck underneath the gums, which is extremely frustrating as well. So genuinely not exactly sure what to do about that exactly, because I don't think it's easy to do, easy to address even. Yeah, it's one of those things I think. It's a bit toughy. So I'm really not sure what the best option is at any point. It's like, yeah, I want to feel better, but I'm probably not going to feel better if I don't address this problem sooner. I'm probably going to find that when I actually get the treatment, it's probably going to be beneficial to me in the end, because that's what the treatment's there for. It's there to sort of treat you, but solve this problem. So I don't know what to do. It's crazy, but I don't know. Generally unsure. I think there's a lot that could be done, but again, it's whether it's possible or not. It's just, I've had this issue for years, and I've also had like random mini toothaches here and there. Had them like either eating something or not. But then again, now I think about it, I've had toothaches when I had ice cream every now and then. So I've had these for years actually. Strange. Huh. I just realised that. But okay. Yeah, so that's the teeth situation I suppose in a nutshell. Not sure what else there is to say even. I will say I've tried different toothpaste stuff, and to be honest I don't notice a difference. I don't really understand what's going on with them. So it's always been a bit confusing in that sense, especially as you're sort of limited for choice as a vegan, because you need to have toothpaste that's not tested on animals and has vegan ingredients. And that's kind of the frustrating thing with that as well. You're not like recently, unfortunately, I had to go out and get a Sensodyne because I needed something to protect my teeth essentially during this pain. I was hoping to get something to numb it, but ended up not getting that in the end. So yeah, that's frustrating. But I got Sensodyne, and I don't even know if it's vegan or not tested on animals. I have a big fucking. I think there's a big chance that it was tested on animals and it's probably not vegan. I had no choice. You know, I needed something because my current toothpaste doesn't do that. And at the moment, it actually does tooth whitening, so yeah, it's a bit frustrating. Anyway, I think the only change I need to do is just brush my teeth twice per day now. See what happens. But I try to do it tactfully when I do, because I remember doing this in childhood. What a fucking waste it is to brush your teeth before breakfast when you're going to get debris on your teeth. Like, why the fuck do people do that? Seriously. I do not understand the logic behind it. You know, given that breakfast has probably some of the sweetest things you might have that day, it makes no sense to do that. Like, eat something, no, brush your teeth and then eat something debris. Not why. It seriously doesn't make any sense, so I'm just going to do it my way. Frank Sinatra, yeah, famously brushed his teeth after breakfast. That was joking. Or am I? Ah, fun story, kind of. Well, there's nothing bad about it. One of the best feelings in seasons is probably to do with winter and spring. And I've had this feeling for years, and it's just such a nice feeling. I don't know if there's anything quite like it. You know, for some reason I tolerate heat a lot better than cold. Because the cold can literally fucking immobilise me, and the heat will make me feel awful but livable. And there's such a vast difference between the two. But when it comes to winter, I think, even though I don't have a favourite season, I think winter is probably the best one for me personally, which is weird. Because I know there are plenty of people who do not like winter. But winter used to be a lot better, I think. It's, you know, I could go into a story and I shall write it down so I don't forget. Yeah. Okay. So, in winter, it used to be a lot better, but because of climate change and shit, we probably won't ever see snow like we used to. I remember back in the day, speaking like early 2000s, where we used to see snow quite commonly, and snow was just always gorgeous. It lit up the place. It brought you joy in some ways because you could play in the snow as well, throw snowballs, have snowball fights, as usual. There isn't anything quite like it, and nowadays you don't really have that, and children are probably not going to experience that. there's a certain joy you get from seeing snow that you probably won't see nowadays, which is really sad. Because snow really is a joyful thing, if you really think about it. And it's not only like in the festive spirit for this Christmas, even though I don't celebrate it technically. But it's nice. It definitely adds a lot of character to the landscape. You see houses the way you've never seen them before. You see cars frozen, which is interesting. It's not the nicest part, but you see snow and everything. It's just nice. And you see it in trees. It's just, God, it's everywhere. And even though I've got sensory issues, it doesn't bother me that much. It's always nice, and there are other things with this as well, which I'll go into later. I'll probably jump over this, I don't know. I always used to have to scrape off the snow from the car using de-icer or some sort of scraper thing. Usually the de-icer works for the most part until it throws up again. It's just throws up, what? Okay, that's a weird English-ism. Froze. That's weird, okay, it just blew my mind. But yeah, snow will blow your mind, I think, if you actually look into it. Yeah, like, there's so many memories around that, but the other thing that was really great about childhood around these times was when you heard that your schools are closed down because the snow was either too overwhelming or the temperature was way too cold, and that there was no way to heat up the school. And you'd have to listen to a local radio station to hear if your school had been closed down. Yeah, it sort of turns into this rarest fitting meme with that song. Literally, that's what it was back then. Yeah, just listening to a radio, sitting around the radio for that matter, hearing the station list off the schools that are not open today. It's like, yes. Fortunately, because I had a really good special needs department at my school, they ended up texting me anyway if the school was closed before the radios did, which is interesting. But yeah, that was honestly great. And there were some days where we actually went to school on those days where we weren't sure it was closed. And we see like a bunch of people going in and leaving. Like, yeah, it's fucking closed, and they told us it's closed. It's like, okay. It's so bizarre. Yeah, you don't get that these days. Yeah, it's nothing quite like it, I don't think. It's just a good feeling overall, and then you get to stay home and do whatever you want all day. You play games or whatever. Play in the snow if that's an option. I tended to play games. Such a fucking memory, and also just a vibe as well. Let's not forget the fact that all this is pretty much a vibe. What else? That's what I was saying. Christmas is always quite fun because fortunately, even though my family, one part of my family was poor and the other somewhat well off, I'd say, I did have some decent Christmases with some good presents and stuff. I'll always be grateful for that because I know children these days probably won't even get to see that, unfortunately. You have stockings full of just so many fucking random things and presents of, again, so many varying things. It was quite overwhelming at times as well. They didn't need all that. And I think the worst present, which actually wasn't mine, the worst present I ever saw possibly was kittens. Unfortunately, they're decent side of the family. I got off one, not decent. They decided to get kittens for my siblings. Yeah, luckily they kept them, but it's one of those things where it's just so risky and such a bad fucking idea. Yeah, they're cute kittens, and watched them grow up, and a few years later, one of them got pregnant. So that's great. So we have more kittens. Excellent. Yeah, Christmas is great, and yeah, the transition to summer was actually really good. Usually spring is in. I can't remember the fucking season. What are the seasons? What is it saying? Okay, here, no, Wikipedia, hello? Don't you have this fucking info? Is it the beginning? Let me just do Control F. Oh, there it is, on the side. Yeah, winter, spring, summer, autumn, so I'm thinking of spring rather than autumn. It's autumn now, and autumn's nice, but spring is nicer, because that's generally where you transition from the cold to the heat. And on top of that, you get to see everything come back to life. You see the trees grow the leaves again. You see so many different fucking things. It's just magical in its own way, I think. Yeah, again, there's nothing like it, but I think because of climate change, we might not even see it anymore. It's pretty fucking sad. Yeah. But as with most things good in childhood, it sort of changes. And you go into adulthood and it's gone, Christmas starts to get a bit more boring. It's harder to get presents for you and also harder to get presents for everyone else. Because, you know, there wasn't much you can do as like I was autistic and special needs, but I couldn't really do much to get back to anyone. And you know, as you grow older, you realise that oh shit, now it's the opportunity to give something back that's bigger and better. You know, I just got stuff from the pound shop and call it a day, usually. And then I started asking people what they want for Christmas and stuff and bought that, and also even bought more expensive things. Just so that I could, again, give back to people in a meaningful way as well. So I did that in early adulthood. But still, it felt like the Christmas magic was just fading. Like it wasn't as interesting as it used to be, it wasn't as fun. And I don't know if it's because of capitalism or what. No doubt has some role in it. But it's just frustrating, because, you know, from what you remember of like both winter and Christmas, it just tends to be so much better. You know, I remember this one time in like COVID where it snowed really hard. And, you know, I was walking the dogs with my mum, and it's just like we were almost on the verge of fucking slipping. I just said like, you know what, I can't do this. It's just too slippery. But that's like, that was over 4 years ago, I think. It's during lockdown. Yeah. But there weren't really many things to really ignite sort of a seasonal feel in adulthood and even Christmas. That was until like the Scots Jingle Jam, which definitely made me feel a bit more festive. It's definitely a good way to celebrate Christmas and also meeting family as well. Spending more time with them, it's a few good things. We don't do presents anymore, which is fine. I don't mind that, to be honest. I'd rather spend the money on myself to an extent, but we probably need to anyway, that's the thing. Because, you know, it's harder for people to buy for you, but then you're paying extra probably just to get this thing for someone. And it's like, oh yeah, this probably is a waste of money. It is probably better off spent on ourselves. It's not a selfish viewpoint, it's literally the truth. It is more expensive. So yeah. So winter started to get more boring. There was much less snow, much less cold even. I noticed the temperatures never really dipped below -1 for where we lived anyway, even though it's like fucking north. Yeah, so it was not good for certain. And I think we had the heating break once. It wasn't like as freezing as I thought it would be, but it definitely wasn't comfortable. But that's pretty much all the things there, but there were two good things I realised about the winter. The other one I actually completely forgot. No, but I guess two things tie into this anyway. So the good thing about winter is actually getting under the duvet cover. Like, fuck it hell. Because I'm quite sensitive to heat and cold, it generally ends up being that when it's too warm I want to be cold, when it's too cold I want to be warm. But quite drastically so at times, but and sometimes it's too much. Like I have my aircon on in the summer, and it's sometimes too cold. So I need to do something about that. It's kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie. But then I end up turning it off so that I can sort of warm up again in the summer. That's so fucking weird. In the winter I have a space heater because that's the only way you can heat up this place sometimes, at least other places. That's only as a complicated element to it, I suppose. Yeah, but duvet covers, just for some reason there's nothing quite like the feeling of, especially at night, just wrapping yourself in a duvet. There's not any feeling quite like that. It's just so good. It's one of the most nicest feelings I think I've ever had, and it's the most relaxing feeling, as I realised. So the more that I go into winter, and sometimes it is too cold to even think about like wrapping yourself at times. Like you need something else, or you need to layer. But for the most part, it's good. I reached 0 degrees here last night. Yeah, it was definitely nice. Although for some reason I had a fucking moment of heat. I don't know why. For some reason my habits gone a bit weird. Yeah, I actually went into heat for a moment. So it's an hour of my night wasted, and I feel tired. Thanks, penis, for doing that shit. Yeah. It's like so cozy as well, because I've also got my headphones on, listening to some jazz, and it's just nice to feel warm and sort of closed in like that. Because even though I'm sort of claustrophobic, the feeling of a duvet around me doesn't bring me any sort of dread. And I think it's probably because I know I can move out of it, so it's probably different. Yeah, it's probably why that's a thing, really. Yeah, like the closest thing to a seasonal feel, or even like festive feel, is probably, again, the duvet covers. I don't think there's anything quite like it. It's interesting. Not sure what else I can add exactly. Even though I do sometimes use the duvet, in other cases in summer I don't use it as commonly because it's too warm for a duvet. I use it for other things. I use it to lay on or rest my feet at night. I tend to just remove it in the summer. Actually, that's what I've taken to doing, because even though this is an all-rounder duvet, I'm starting to think I need to get ones that are for summer and winter equally, so that it addresses both of the problems. Like, if summer is too hot, hopefully I can find a duvet that cools down. If it's winter, I can find a duvet that's really warm. And to be honest, I probably need to do that. I'm not sure yet, because I only got this duvet like, 2 years ago? I tried washing my old one and it fucking fucked up. Like, it's unusable, it's just crazy. Like, for some reason my pillows came out fine. Was it my pillows? I can't remember, but I think it fucked up my entire like bedding set or something. Yeah, I think it was my pillows and not the duvet. So that's weird. Yeah. I'm curious to know if anyone else has any of that sort of feeling. Like, what things just feel different in the winter and autumn they don't really feel in any other season, especially when it's cold. Yeah, let's move on. Speaking about my frustrations with mechanics, as I'm AFK for the as a right demo partner, and the other one, I forgot what that one's called. Just need one more of it. Cap it up in autumn, whatever that is. Yeah, but it got me thinking about how to make this more fun. Essentially, how to make the grind more enjoyable. And I think other than increasing the drop rates, which I think is a must at this point, like critical encounters should just be 100% drop rate. Like, seriously, there's no fucking harm in doing that. Like, at least if we're having to grind this out again, I couldn't find any confirmation about whether you have to do this every time you want the relic weapon. They really need to increase the drop rate if it's something you have to grind for again and again. Because this is frankly fucking stupid. So for that definitely needs to happen first before you implement anything else. The next thing I'll do, I'll keep fate mechanics the same, but I'll change the critical encounters into something else. And I mainly do this in the terms of changing combat ones into fun ones, because I was heavily inspired by the turtle critical encounter to, well, actually is the most fun one there, in my opinion, because even though you've got combat aspects, you also have to contend with buying stuff for the turtle, which is like stupidly fun. You know, that's the only time I've had fun with a fate or even raid boss like mechanic before. Literally, it's insanely stupid, but that got me thinking, like, what does it take to make it fun? And I'm just thinking, well, maybe it just needs things that, like, maybe reference real life or don't make much sense, obviously, with the turtle thing. There's no fucking story, but you sort of understand that it's funny to be shopping for this bloody turtle for some reason. Like 72 players doing this, like, can you imagine? God, I wonder what that looked like. I'm actually interested now. It must be similar to an S rank, I guess. But that's the thing, it could be a universal thing as well. Because it shouldn't just be in terms of just in a cult prison. It should just be enemies in general, at least going forward. Because I think most of us are probably fed up of just difficult encounters. Like, I know I am. I mean, critical encounters, I just can't be bored anymore. I just let myself die. Because some mechanics you can't read and others, it's just so bullshit. Like, I'm forced to play tank, for example, because the mechanics are too punishing. You know, there's not even a role that has like a passive sort of tank buff. So you essentially cannot play it as any other class, and that fucking sucks. So it gets me thinking about how else you can make it fun exactly. Because, what's going on there? Someone had a pot there. It's fucking weird. Yeah. But one of the mechanics I was thinking of, because this is the thing, you need to just write down ideas that come to your head, like everyday things that come to your head. Like, for example, pay the bills. Like, why not have a fucking thing in a random boss fight where it's like, maybe it's like a, I don't know, bailiff, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's too close to home, that's the problem though. But someone who deals in like repossessing stuff and basically catching up on payments, but you get like some mechanic where you have to pay the bills. So you just go and interact with this piece of paper. It's like stupid and sign it. Like, it'd be fucking hilarious. And the other thing I was thinking of, which is also kind of funny but very cliche, is like, just make it like WarioWare. Like, why am I not just saying that out loud? Just make it WarioWare. That's it. That's what that turtle feels like. And you should just make it like WarioWare, because that'll be more fun, objectively speaking. And one of the things I was thinking of is helping a lady across the street, an old lady. You could also help a lady across the street, technically. So Wario of Light's preference. Actually, that'd be a good way to implement that, I think. I don't know. But it's like doing these cliche things that appear in movies and like, don't look at the explosion. Like, WarioWare it. Because that is fun. Like, fuck me, you have so many opportunities to do something legitimately fun rather than mechanically complex or overcomplicated. And yet they don't do this. And I'm just left here thinking, what are you doing? Like, you're not helping, you're just making the game worse. So why isn't this already a thing? I'm genuinely baffled. Like, just add a game mode. I played the hell out of it because I love the WarioWare mods, because I've never actually played a WarioWare game. But Overwatch 1 had a WarioWare mod on, not mod, but, you know, server, the way it's scripted, I don't know. But they do script it somehow. It's like fucking magic. But I played the hell out of that with friends as well. And it was so fun. I joined the Discord and I was actually considering putting money towards supporting this developer. It's genuinely one of the best fucking workshop items I've seen in that. Because most of them are just like class training and farming and stuff. Even like crazy things like 1v19s or something crazy like that. Those are fun. The WarioWare mod was much more fun. So something like that in Final Fantasy XIV would be great, especially with the mechanics, because we already had the Fall Guys event, and technically it's still going, I think. And it has aspects of fun. It's not the best executed thing I've seen. What the hell's that? Just found a lump on my stomach. That's weird. Not sure what that is. Anyway. Yeah, there's like elements in the Fall Guys event where I thought, okay, that's fun. But the problem is they go with these like orange AoE things all the fucking time, and then you got the directional thing on like on the first stages, which is fun. The one that you can't control, which is okay. And I think there's some unfairness in that because of the breach of some of the things on there. But like, there's so many ways to make it more enjoyable. So I don't know why they're not doing it. Again, it just eludes me, it baffles me. Because I think there are plenty of ideas that you can implement to make the game more fun. And, you know, the WarioWare thing, literally could draw in a lot of fucking players, because that is something that sort of appeals to certain players. It appeals to me. Like, if I'd quit the game and heard that they're adding like a WarioWare mod thing, then yeah, like, I might have come back and played it, because that's something that interests me, believe it or not. I'm not interested in like a collab, but I'm interested in something where you change up the game. You make it fun. It sort of reminds me of Fortnite, I think, technically. I think they started out with the PvE and then branched out into Battle Royale. And players actually really like the Battle Royale. But there was another game I was thinking of. I can't remember what the game is, but there was another game where players only played it for this one mechanic or one mod. Just interesting. It definitely exists, and to me, I think it's a big missed opportunity. Well, it's not a word, is it? Funny, it has the right dementia. Needed as a right dementia. Yeah, it's so strange to me though. Like, literally. Because, like, once again, you could literally make this the most fun game in existence, and you just fucking flaunt the opportunity. I don't know what the term is, but I'll say flaunt, by just stupid shit. And it's because of these stupid mechanics and grinds that you just make it less enjoyable, and then you encourage players to be toxic because of it. This is how toxicity begins. And one of the things I've learned in gaming is friction and players, competition, contention are just rife with absolute toxic players, and often spawn them as well. It's always the guilty party here, unfortunately, but that is true across all the games I've played. Multiplayer, obviously, being the primary role, but you can get in single player too. So yeah, it's concerning. Frankly, I don't understand why there aren't more fun things in Final Fantasy XIV like that. Because, yeah, whilst it's combat focused, you can literally add things to make it more fun. WarioWare it, as I said. a fucking lava boss like that, or like just entire game mode. It maybe added to Golden Saucer. Like, that's one thing. There's so many different things you can do. And that's what makes the WarioWare games so appealing to me, even though I've not played any. I've watched them, and they look fucking fun. I'd legit play them if I had the time. But a game like this is taking my time, so why not add something like this? Yeah, you could even add like a tombstone thing, like make it a fucking mini game that you can use in your key inventory or toy collection, whatever it is. You could do it at any point and literally just play like a fucking WarioWare mod, but it's like based on Eorzea, so I don't know. Like, who can do that? Like, what's the Wario equivalent of Final Fantasy XIV? Because like the Wario I like is like Mario. And Wario's like not exactly a hero, but is trying to be bad. So probably an anti-hero. So I don't know, Gaius. That's the closest fucking comparison. Like, Gaius is not actually pretty though. So probably not. Ishtola. Okay, maybe Ishtola. Ishtola. Anyone? I don't know. But there has to be something you can do with this. Just make the game more interesting. It's just so baffling. Anyway, I better move on because I'm starting to repeat my points. It's just a random thing that came to mind. In all honesty, I think it could help the game. Even just with like natural mechanics like this. You have a WarioWare boss or something. Even like a variant dungeon, like it's perfect for a variant dungeon. You know, even with the ads and stuff. But every set of ads gives you like a different mini game and stuff, and then the bosses give you multiple of that. You know, treat it like WarioWare again. Although the life system might not work, but you know, you get the point here. The tries of life, what do you call it in that? I can't remember actually. Anyway, let's move on to another topic. One of the crazy things about the world today is that people just don't seem to look at the information and literally cave into like scaremongering and stuff. Just had 2 replies to a TikTok comment I made on 2 different TikToks with 2 different topics. But they're quite similar, because it's really ironic. And I'll explain. So, to start with, there's a post about, there's a shot of a woman who was basically saying that reform will destroy her daughter's life, and she's a special needs girl. And because of that, she has like high needs, I guess. Because I don't think she's verbal, and she definitely doesn't seem like she can do much. Like, not to say that it's a bad thing, that's not a bad thing. You know, she's just trying to live her life, basically. It's a poor girl. And people in the comments are calling her out, saying that her daughter shouldn't be used for propaganda. Like, what? The fucking irony of this is that this is about reform, and yet, for some stupid fucking reason, some bizarre fucking reason, despite that, yeah, like, oh fuck, I got distracted. It basically is about going against reform, because the entire topic of the short was about reform's bullshit, and essentially, this is a video to talk about that, and short even, but people don't seem to be listening, which is the frustrating thing. Because it definitely means bad news, for sure. Yeah, and I don't get it. But people are calling this out for propaganda, and it's like, are you kidding me? If that's propaganda, then what the fuck are you doing voting reform? Who are literally doing the same thing, they're doing fucking propaganda. It makes no sense. So I'm just completely baffled by that, to be honest. It seriously doesn't make any sense. I can't figure it out. Oh, Jesus Christ. What is going on? It's just so strange to me. And worrying as well, obviously. Because I think when we really look at this, the problem is that Reform are using propaganda to essentially get votes. And they're not right in getting these votes because they're essentially a bigoted party with bigoted ideas, and you know, it's going to destroy people's lives. You know, it's not a safe place for anyone, and because of that, you know, there's never going to be a case where I think the country will be safe. Yeah. So it just leaves me wondering, like, what the fuck is the deal here? Because it's definitely not safe. I could say that. I've got to do my medication. Put that there. Yeah, like, what the fuck though? It's just not a fun topic to discuss, but Jesus Christ, like, what is it with people? I seriously do not understand. But anyway, they called this up propaganda, and I said to the comment that, you know, this is what Reform wants. They want discourse, they want all this bullshit about separating people and taking away disability benefits for children like this. And it's sickening. Like, honestly, it is. It's just so fucking dangerous too. Like, it's just unbelievably dangerous. Yeah. So it does leave you with a lot of worry because, you know, this is the world that they want, and you know, if we head towards this world, you can guarantee like it's bye-bye human rights, because this is essentially what's happened in America, and yet we're not looking to America for some reason. So I just made a comment basically defending the woman and daughter here, because yeah, I'm a disabled person, I have special needs as well, and low needs, so that's the important distinction to make there. So people think like, oh, you're too intelligent for that. Well, that's why. But you know, it doesn't equate to more intelligence, unfortunately. So it's not that simple, really. And people have a really big misconception about special needs and support needs and stuff, and that generally comes about because of idiots like this, idiots like Reform, idiots like these commenters here. And as a result, it completely changes the narrative on what a special needs person is. You know, you can have special needs people, literally high support needs, who get into drugs. Why? Because special needs doesn't mean stupid, it doesn't mean unintelligent. It means something completely different. It means there is a need for something that requires a specialty. So it's like a specialty support, I guess you could call it. Yeah, so that's really the thing with that, though. Yeah, I just don't understand the logic. So I defended them, and then I got a reply basically saying that, well, there's someone else that actually replied, I think, but they're saying that, oh, but I'm voting Reform because I want to protect the young girls, young girls. And I literally said, obviously with the right knowledge and understanding of the world that I have, you can't protect young girls with Reform. You know, literally against their rights. And the way to protect young girls and women is prevention. And that is key to stopping a lot of the problems we have today. You know, in order to prevent even like a crime that's committed by an immigrant, for example, which is what the talking point of Reform is, you literally need to give immigrants a proper life, a proper working pay, give them proper housing for that matter, because honestly I've heard bad things about asylums. They don't really work. And that leads to more crime, unfortunately. Because it ends up being dodgy as a result, they end up committing crime. It's more frequent than you think, but it's not it's not crimes against women, just to be clear. It's more commonly like drug-related crimes and stuff. So that's why people end up in that situation. You know, you sort of force them there, and that causes the problems. Sorry about that. Yeah, so when you really look into it, it's not actually the fault of immigrants. And what Reform are doing actually serves to create more crime. This is a problem I don't see this talked about much, and when we look at the let's look at it like a percent chance, because this is something I thought about recently too. Based on what policies I know of Reform about addressing immigration, for example deporting everyone, crime rates will probably exceed, well, like there'll be far more white British people doing it obviously, but the problem is when you remove migrants, there are going to be more crimes committed by white people. Not because the migrants are gone, but because we've been forced into a scenario where white people can't exactly earn a living paycheck, they can't earn a good living wage, they can't afford the cost of living. And that's what happens when you remove migrants, because migrants are quite crucial to the economic system when you actually look at it. Because they're the ones taking the jobs at the moment who, well, us white British people do not want to work. You know, I don't work, I'm on benefits as well, I have to make that clear. But that's the problem. You know, I'm a disabled person, I can't work, and, you know, it could have been me, essentially, who could have voted Reform in a sense, but I didn't, because I did the research and I realised, okay, well, based on the economic factors, and if I want to get better benefits, I need to look towards any other party. You know, even the Conservatives have a better idea, but they're still shit. That's the point here. But so far it's looking like Green is the only one that actually protects young women and protects migrants. Literally. And it's pretty much backed up with not only their policies, but what they are saying all around, like in their social media, in interviews. So yeah, I've basically responded to that point. But another thing with prevention is about recognising the warning signs. That's the other thing I mentioned. Because when it comes to either racially motivated crimes or even sexually related crimes, or even domestic abuse, it comes down to two factors. One, acknowledging there is a problem with these people. Two, addressing the problem. And we address that by recognising it, questioning them on it, and treating them. Basically rehabilitation. And this is why things have gone so out of hand. It's why there's so many people convicted every fucking day of the same thing. Because people have been forced in that scenario, again, because of late stage capitalism, like we're seeing now, which is why migrants are in jobs instead of white British people. And it's very much a case that you can all pin this on the political parties who are corrupt. You can also pin the crimes on them as well. Because believe it or not, the biggest thing that's stopping us from protecting young women is actually the political parties and how we address essentially treating these people. Because people look at the actions of others and think like, oh yeah, let's just be mad at them, let's fucking throw stones at them for some reason, as if that changed anything for the past 1,000 years we've been doing that. But that doesn't work, and it'll constantly happen, unfortunately. You need to make sure that people are living a happy life even if you don't like who they are or what they do. It sort of brings me back to the topic about paedophiles, believe it or not, because one of the biggest problems in our current society is we treat paedophiles like they're already criminals. The problem is a paedophile is someone attracted to young children, not the other way around, where people think that it's just someone who's committed an act against children. Those are two completely different things, and for some reason society doesn't understand that, but I'm going by the scientific definition, understanding that I have of my own research. And yeah, I'm definitely up for debate with that, and I'll happily discuss that with people, but that's the research I found. And it's pretty much backed up. But the point is, you can't prevent anything without first acknowledging the problem, which is what I said. But you have to then find the correct treatment for these people, so make it normal to talk about this sort of thing. And you have to make everyone aware. Like, literally, it's a safety mechanism. If you have like a college friend, I don't know, because this is something that actually happened to me, for example. Like, college friends with weird fucking ideas and even like a certain types of images on their phone, apparently. Just very bizarre. But it's something that happened, and I don't know if it was arrested, but that should have been the warning sign. That should have been a cause for like, oh, like, okay, we should probably contact the police and ask about rehabilitation or something. And that's actually how you address something like that, because there's no other way to treat this problem. Throwing them in a prison doesn't work, because they'll just go out and do the same thing. And that's pretty much backed up by research as well, I'm pretty sure of it. It's what I read about anyway. And that's how you address it. And there's different methods. I remember reading into this further because obviously I've been witness to abuse as a child. Still horrific stuff. And one of the things I came across literally was, to prevent this you need to get to the root of the problem and treat it. And there's different ways. There's like chemical castration, there's therapy, I think there's other ways, like there's community as well, technically. Like some people go to communities to talk about this and essentially get that under control. But yeah, there's like different ways to address it, and that's the important thing with prevention here. You can't really prevent it unless you actually look into it. Yeah, I've talked enough about that, I think. The other topic I wanted to discuss was actually about veganism. And I basically said that there's a lot of consequences to eating meat. And someone asked actually in all the same comment, someone asked what the consequences are, and I listed them all. The strange thing is, it just reminds me that people just have very little understanding of the world around them. And I think one of the problems that we have currently is smart people's content essentially is catered to smart people. And because of that, it ends up making people more turned off and more stupid as a result. Because the content isn't simplified. One of the things you have to remember is young people today probably have lower attention spans because of understanding of mental health better. And to be honest, there's a lot of old people like that too, but they don't realise that. That's the thing. You just need simple information, simple tidbits to educate people. And that's how you address this problem, exactly. You also need a simple way to basically convey the message about critical thinking. Anyway, I better move on, because that was the topic, but yeah, it's just sad state of affairs, I guess. So let's move on. I just remembered a big Pokemon idea that I had, that, to be honest, I'm very surprised that they haven't done yet, exactly. And admittedly, it just sort of goes into a conversation about Pokken and why I hated it. Like, it's interesting. I was watching the anime again because they keep posting it on Twitch, and I watch it at night. Always a great laugh and just entertainment. It's honestly goated. There isn't any anime like this out there anymore, I don't think. Which kind of sucks. It had a unique sense of humour, and it generally did it well. Goofy. Yeah, like, so many good things I could say about it. And the only time they ever actually mimicked that was probably like Gen 7. I remember Sun and Moon was very fucking good. That was probably the last time the anime was at its best, in my opinion. Which is a shame, because whoever had writing that clearly knew what they were doing, and clearly had fun doing it. Like, it's easy enough to see that they probably had these like boardroom meetings and stuff of each episode, went through the episode and added fucking dialogue and scenes that mattered and that were humorous and stuff. But one of the other things that made Pokemon great, which it didn't sort of stick to that unfortunately after Sun and Moon, was the battles. And the thing that I fucking love about battles is they don't always take the form of turn-based moves. So for example, like Ash literally pairs two moves together with Pikachu. I'm pretty sure he does it anyway. But it makes for some interesting battling. But the other thing with it is you get to see this type of battling that takes advantage of the field, and I sort of remember this fanfiction that I wrote, which unfortunately was different actually, I can't talk about it. But I sort of did like an anti-romance sort of thing. Basically I paired Serena with Bonnie, or people when she grew up. And it's kind of like they're old friends, and Ash was like picking Misty for some reason, like something stupid like that. Yeah, yikes. But it's interesting, it's Pokemon Village I called it, because, no, not Pokemon Village, Eevee Village. I was inspired by the Fox Village in Japan, I think it was, and that's what made me want to write that. And it started out as just the Pokemon Village itself, but I decided to add characters to it as it feels like the anime. And as well as the fact that I had mainstay evolutions and even created a ghost type evolution there, I added two human characters, which were obviously Bonnie and Serena. I think they're pretty good characters in Gen 6. Yeah, decided to base it around them, and in that story I explored a lot of the types of battlings and sort of journeys that go on. And I think one of my favourite battles is probably, it's really inspired by the anime, because that was what this fanfic was about. That's what this fanfic series was about. Because it's just so fascinating that this exists, to be honest. You know, what inspired me about the anime was just they do a type of battling that is not really seen in the anime anymore, as well as the animation stuff. But then I realised that you can actually take this a step further and even have it so that the battling was far more about like the environment and stuff. Well, I mean the emotional attachment, not the environment. That's the part that I actually added. I actually made it more about the environment too. I'm not talking about climate change, let's be clear. And I was talking about when I can't remember who it was I was writing in the fanfiction. It might have been Bonnie actually, but she was fighting someone in a sort of gym, and essentially she had to overcome this electric type Pokemon as a water Pokemon, I think. And one of the moves I did in the end was actually not a ground move, because her Pokemon didn't have one, but rather create a ground move using the environment. Like, how many IQ does that need? That's what I love about the Pokemon battling system, and it just makes you wonder, why the hell isn't there a game like this? And why is the game just fucking turn-based rather than based on environment? Like, you could add a fifth move, for example, or multiple extra moves if it's based on an environment. So you can literally have environmental factors as another gimmick, which would make it interesting. But then also looking back at the anime, you have the freedom of movement. So, for example, depending on the weight class of your Pokemon, you can literally have it so you can grab another Pokemon with your current Pokemon or something and just throw them up in the air or something. Like, have it be a real full-on battle, which would be interesting. And I think that's really what's missing from the anime, in my opinion. Not the anime, the games, I mean. It's that element of surprise with, and even intellect, with how characters respond to things. I genuinely think that's one of the best parts of the anime. It really is. the best parts of the anime. His battles are so unique, and that's what makes them fun to watch. Even watching the old ones where they sort of do this sort of stuff, it's interesting. You know, there's someone called a retcon. I don't know if it was exactly. I didn't catch the part where it actually happened. There's Master's Quest. Ash was in the Pokemon League, I think it was, and he essentially had to what was it? Fight this guy. I can't remember. This is one way he lost, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, I don't know. That's sort of a weird thing with the anime, actually. Ash always lost until, you know, one day, one generation later. So anyway, I got to go with that, but yeah, basically Charizard took Blaziken up into the air and basically tried to seismic toss Blaziken as its move, but somehow Blaziken survived, and it literally went through a bunch of characters explaining how the hell the Blaziken survived this. And Blaziken apparently shot a fire beam at the ground to stop itself from taking more damage, which is clever, as he's fallen to the ground with Charizard. So yeah, those are the sort of things in the battles that make it exciting. It's a shame that we don't have a game like that, and I'll explain why I didn't like Pokken. Pokken is sort of similar to Pokemon in some ways, like you've got the usual turn-based moves, but the problem with Pokken is it's a fighting game. It's like a side fighting game, rather. I couldn't get along with them, even though I played lots of Streets of Rage. I just couldn't get along with like Tekken and stuff, because yeah, even though I played Tekken as well, I just didn't like this. To be honest, Tekken 2, so very old. Vast difference, but I couldn't get along with it. I couldn't beat anyone. There was too much to memorise, too many combo moves. I just couldn't do it. As a result, it just fucking sucked. I didn't like it in the end. So I just never played the game since. I just watched someone else play it. It was better than me, definitely. And it was too difficult for the game, and I just gave up. And where Pokken also struggled for me was it's so restrictive. You know, I don't think you have like a seismic toss move or even like a Blaziken firing a beam at the ground to sort of reduce the damage in that sense. I'm really not sure. That's a weird thing about this. So I don't think I can really like that, to be honest. It's just a strange thing. Yeah, because you want to like a game like that, especially as it's doing something different. But again, that's sort of the struggle there. Like, why isn't there a game for fighting Pokemon as in this way? Where you can utilise environmental factors, say that, I don't know, fire Pokemon jumps into water. Like, okay, they're weak to water, so they're already kind of slowed down and taking a bit of damage, that sort of thing. But flying in an electric field, yeah, same thing. There's so many different ways to do it, and this is, I think, why we're just so burnt out with Pokemon at this point. Not only are the games shit, they're just not innovating. Even then, Pokemon Legends EA barely did anything different, in my opinion. Like, sure, it has a battle system where it's based on cooldowns, but this isn't new. You know, it just feels like Genshin Impact, to be honest. I could be wrong on that, but to me that's what it seems like. It's like they actually just copied that system, where you have multiple cooldowns to track, and maybe a gimmick, but that's it. And they didn't do anything else. They allowed you to move around a bit, but it's not the same as what I'm describing. It just needs to be a more involved like fighting game. And I think in certain cases as well, they literally need to have it so that you got the fighters literally, you know, having a dogfight. Like for flying types, you know, have a dogfight. Like that's a really fun aspect to that, and of course within an arena that's a decent size, that'll be stupidly fun, not only to watch but play. So why haven't they done that? That genuinely baffles me, to be honest. It's kind of like, what are you doing? You know, this could be one of the best Pokemon games ever made, and yet they're not doing that. So it feels like they're compromising in that sense. And as a result, we just don't have much innovation in that area, and it just falls behind. It's surprisingly disappointing. You just wish that they would do something like this and make it more interesting, more tense even. You know, have it go crazy as well, like a double battle, and there's probably a way to do something like seismic toss. Again, with like the weight classes and stuff. Also, you can't have like seismic toss on like, I don't know, Giratina, like, as a Charizard. I don't think that would be possible. I don't think. But yeah, there's like something to really think about and get into discussing. It's just finding ways to optimise it. Yeah. Again, this is sort of more how Pokemon have fallen, and it's just, yeah, struggling. Anyway, I just want to talk about that and bring it up really as a topic, because I think, again, there's so much potential for Pokemon, and there's just a lot more they could be doing to make it so much better, so much more enjoyable. Again, it's squandering that opportunity by being a fucking lazy, greedy mess. So nobody actually really wants to play the game, and nobody finds it interesting anymore. So you always have to contend with that, unfortunately. But again, people need to understand that buying these games is not going to help it. It's definitely not how it works, for sure. It's just why I'm ever so annoyed by the state of the games. Because I want to play another Pokemon game, believe it or not. It'd be great to pick up like Switch 2, then go into playing on the recent games somewhere. Like go out and play it. It's like I don't know, there's different ways I could play it. But there's no chance of that happening, to be honest. And at this point I'd rather just play something on my phone. Because there's more interesting things on my phone. And better Pokemon games on my phone. And not talk about the App Store. So, yeah, and also just Nintendo being shitty as well. Just add an element of yikes to it. So it's just, yeah, I suppose I better move on. Got stuff to do. Very far behind my hobbies and shit. So yeah, that's that topic. Well, dear God, it's slightly worse than I thought in terms of teeth. So, I seem to have a sort of, I guess, genetic issue. I noticed this anyway before even going, but my back wisdom teeth, like the bottom, just weren't growing properly. And, you know, the fact it felt buried underneath the gums means that there's something massively wrong there. But yeah, I can't feel the entire outline of it. And immediately, as I've been to the dentist, that's what it's about. The dentist was like, oh, it seems like your inside teeth has essentially gone in too far, like the wisdom tooth. Which is worrying, because I was worried that that might have been something to do with this. And also have a chipped tooth somewhere, somehow. Even though I've not bitten on anything hard in a long time, except for maybe popcorn kernels. Or just crappy food that I've eaten. That's too hard for consumption. Giggity. But seriously, I'm quite concerned about this, in all honesty. It's worrying, because when you really think about it, the thing here with teeth is they are essentially something you rely on for your entire life to eat. And while I can happily eat mush, after a while it's going to get boring. You know, I want the different textures, I want to feel chips, I want to feel chips, and I want to feel more chips. another chip-like product. But there's more to it than that. So, yeah, so the back wisdom teeth are essentially buried, and did an x-ray. Turns out, they're not actually fully at an angle, but to avoid having the wisdom teeth removed, it seems like they might have to remove the tooth next to it. Which is scary, because I've never had dental surgery, and when I was offered it as a kid, I was like, no fucking way. And I do regret getting like braces now. I really want braces. I seriously want braces. Where the fuck are my braces? And it's overwhelming, because I thought I was going to really struggle in this appointment. It's like the first time I've been in years. Because initially the reason why I didn't go was because of a panic attack, and they removed me from the register for some stupid reason, and yeah. So essentially it's like, oh, I need to just go fuck myself then. I'll do that in my own time, but I'm not going to fucking please you just for the sake of what? I don't have anything to prove. Not to myself or anyone else. So that's why I haven't been in so long. And weirdly enough, it wasn't like brought up about my crooked teeth, which I found very fucking weird. Because I would have thought that the crooked teeth would have been a very prominent thing, like a way that some are bent forward and back, not even straight and stuff. But because of my situation, hypersensitivity and stuff, I'm going to have to take it easy and really think about this. In fact, I was going to look at a teeth removal video to see if there was anything there. But yeah, my word, what a fucking clusterfuck that is. It is concerning. So yeah, I'm not sure what to believe exactly, or what to do. Because it is a difficult situation, scenarios, whatever, to be in. Because I don't know what the best course of action is, and I've tried cleaning my wisdom teeth fucking hundreds of times, and I still try to this day. But guess what? I can never reach it. The toothbrush either makes me gag. I've had a bamboo toothbrush and that's like hell on a stick. Because of the stick really, not the brush part. The brush part I can tolerate, but the hell stick, I call it. It's just the worst thing ever, the worst fucking feeling I've ever had in my mouth. And I felt that for days because it was like numbing me. It's a horrible feeling. So that's had an impact on my life for sure. And yeah, so it's looking like a teeth removal, and I think there are actually fillings, but that's like a later stage thing, which is weird. The cleaning thing seems quite a priority because of my toothaches. Weirdly enough, I'm starting to get one now. Thanks, teeth. Always looking out for me, question mark. Says this as they abuse me. Maybe that's a bit too edgy. I don't know. But what a clusterfuck is it? It's just... yikes. I am literally trying my best to keep good care of my teeth. The problem is it's just stressful to deal with. I'm constantly in struggle with my own teeth, even when I'm brushing it. I get a gag reflex. Like, I didn't have this for years, and suddenly I just developed one. Like, oh, okay. I guess I'm just gonna gag when I brush my teeth now or something? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why are teeth like this? It just... but then, it sort of makes me wonder, why the hell is it still legal for companies to just fill things with sugar? I guarantee you a lot of the products out there don't need as much sugar as they do. Like, Coca-Cola doesn't need it. And it is, to be honest, tempting to just go with cans, and I'll still drink with a straw, to be honest. Like, that's the thing. Because it's handy, it's convenient. I have my fucking... sorry about that. If I could tell, I have Dash lime sparkling water, and this is tasty as fuck. It's better than Coca-Cola. And I mainly go by taste, like, all the sugars in it. Let's see. 100 milliliters, nope, that's not what it is. There's carbohydrates, sugars, 0. Don't sound right, because fruit has sugar in it. Yeah, I'm not sure then. But it's definitely a healthier drink. 0 calories, it says, I think. No sweeteners, sugar, nope. No, it does have calories, but only a few. 2 calories. So it's like nothing. So I can drink multiple of these a day. Sorry about that. Tasty. Literally. Honestly, I don't think I need to get more of them. Fucking hell. They're like Sprite, but sparkling and a bit softer even in taste. Well, that's not to say I hate the taste of Sprite, or 7-Up even for that matter. Same thing, aren't they? Like, what is the difference? That's made me curious. Same companies, I'm sure of it. But yeah, so my teeth are, other than the fillings and the wisdom teeth, it's fine. I'm quite surprised though. I would have thought it would have been a lot worse, but yeah, it's okay. And I just think there's certainly a lot of things that need to be done here. And you know, I want the best for my teeth at this point because I am fed up of these things. You know, I think if there was a possibility where I could get them removed and just jump straight to dentures, that's certainly tempting depending on how dentures go. I'm not sure how optimal that is though for a 28-year-old. That's the only problem. So I'm sort of worried about that in a sense. So yeah, strange scenario. What else can I mention? Yeah, like the discomfort level of this appointment was actually bad. I need to talk about this. I was surprisingly uncomfortable with that, and they actually changed the way they do things. I remember now. Oh god, I'm about to die in this game. But they seem to have changed the way that they did things. They changed the way that they set you up, I think. I could be wrong. But from what I noticed, they literally had me set up the whole time, which is handy. You know, I definitely can't fault that. It's definitely a good idea to sit people up, because I fucking hate laying down just for a checkup. Like, fuck off. And my saliva, which I made lots of sitting up, was just awful. Like, imagine that laying down. That would have been worse. So it just goes to show that really dentists are fucking far behind, I think, if they're still doing this shit. Yeah, and they had no problem with it, sitting up. I didn't request it, just to be clear. I was just going to do whatever they wanted at this point, because I needed to get this problem solved. Luckily, nothing bad came of this, so... yeah. And what happened next? They checked the teeth, obviously. They did a spray thing, I'm not sure what that was. It wasn't like the water stuff that cleans you, but it certainly did something. Probably removed debris or tar. Although I sort of struggle to see that how that works, because tar is quite stuck on there. And I have a lot of tar. They don't call me a tar for nothing. Yeah. Just a strange situation. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly. What's happened next? Because they have to figure out what is going on with the pains and stuff. Like, they have to look at what's going on with my back teeth, which is the next part. Because they're writing down the state of my teeth, because it's different obviously a few years ago. And because of that, it means that a lot of things have probably changed. And that means that they need to update everything in that. Which is sort of an annoying aspect in that regard, I guess. So, yeah, that was generally better than the other stuff, I guess. Always hated having my teeth cleaned in the other dentist's place. Yeah, generally can't complain about it though, that much. I think the only discomfort was like when they brought in the gum health check. They have this fucking pokey needle thing. Like, no, it's like my childhood nightmare come to life. Oh wait. Yeah. So that was a bit uncomfortable. It's like not scraping, but almost scraping my teeth. So that wasn't a fun aspect of it, for sure. And then what happened after that? Obviously, they told me there was something wrong with my back teeth, and that's where they brought in the X-ray. The X-ray was fucking agony. Like, it was one of the worst fucking feelings I've had at doctors at dentists. It wasn't painful, but it was severely uncomfortable and had a slight stinging pain to it, weirdly enough. Because they have this weird X-ray thing where they put a screen on it and they put a screen on this thing, then you bite onto it, then they take the X-ray capture, and that sort of projects an image, I think. And when they did that, the fucking discomfort, I couldn't even put it on my mouth because that's how uncomfortable it was. I was like, what the fuck are you asking of me? Like, it's so weird, and eventually we got it, but like my teeth were just chattering like fucking hell. It is so uncomfortable to bite on that and have it literally digging into my mouth. Like, it's so fucking unoptimal. It's absolutely nuts. Though you did get to see the roots of these teeth, which is interesting. I often wonder though, like, why are the roots so big? Something I've just wondered. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, let's see what else. Yeah, I did the X-ray for both sides, and then that was that. I got offered the cleaning thing, but I said like, not today. I'm just not up for it. You know, this was my first appointment in so fucking long. I didn't want to do it. So it's just bizarre. Yeah. And what happened after that? God, I can't remember. Yeah, we just talk about the options because there's two ways it can go. I think the first one was to extract the wisdom tooth. Nope. I've heard of these, and I don't want that. If I could save the root wisdom tooth, I'll fucking have it. Seriously. But luckily the other option seems to be the best one, and because the wisdom teeth aren't actually... They're rubbing against my other teeth, but they're not actually as bad as they thought. It seemed like they're at an angle. So it's looking like we're going to have to remove the teeth next to it, which is obviously what I mentioned. And what a weird fucking appointment. First one in 8 years. Yeah, 8 years. Like, actually, it's probably like 9 years now I think about it. 9 years? 8 years? Yeah, 2017, 2017, 2016. So yeah, 9 years, Jesus. I'm pretty sure my last one was like 2016, the one I actually attended. Yeah, it's been a clusterfuck and a half. I'm pretty sure of it. But the only things I'm going to do at home now, I tried salt water today, and it was okay. It didn't feel good. My mouth is feeling dry from everything now. I didn't swallow. Maybe I should have. Could have cleansed the evil spirits in me, and then could have made God happy. You know, God's like the I don't know. I was going to make a very edgy joke, but it's not funny. So yeah. The other thing is I have to clean my teeth like between them and stuff, and clean the plaque and brush twice a day. Yeah, as I was kind of saying, because this toothache really got me thinking that maybe I do need to brush more than once per day. Problem is I need to remind myself, like, actually I could make an alarm for like 11 o'clock, and that actually might do. Yeah, just do it on my computer, fuck. I've got a use for the alarm now. Add repeat alarm for all these days, every day, for 11. Done. Brush your fucking teeth. There you go. Right, that should help. Do I get to pick a chime? Yeah, I do. Chords. That's a nice one. Anyway, that's my tooth update. And you'll see in possibly a few weeks or months' time where I am with this. Weirdly enough, I've got a doctor's appointment in December, which is to look at the issues. Did I mention about my doctor's appointment? For some reason they flagged no issues. Motherfucker, I'm struggling to breathe. What do you mean, no issues? It said in my blood test that I've got eosinophilitis, whatever it's called. It's just so stupid. And yet I'm having to wait weeks to get this appointment about my breathing, which I've complained about for years. It just doesn't make any sense. Fuck me. Anyway, I better move on. I've got stuff to do. Had stuff to do. I'm not bothered at this point. I can't be bothered. It's too much I want to consider it and too much to think about. And you know, given that this is already quite a big step to get my fucking teeth looked at, after years of not doing it and years of being scared of it for that matter, that's something I'm not really proud of myself though, that's all. I'm not for the teeth, not even for just going there. Yeah, that's the thing, I don't feel that sort of relief about doing things. I'm not glad that I went there. And if anything, it's more like the exercise that comes in there, it's just rubbing off on me. How many steps was that? I was about 400, 500 in the house at this time. So there's not actually many steps, like, it's very fucking few. I'd say about 400, and that's not much. It's not really exercise. I could do with lifting some weights today. I might do that on my next bathroom pass. Yeah, that's my tooth update and health update. Let's go. I just realised if I haven't talked about this before, I've not even mentioned it and not really discussed what I actually mean by it. I actually have a very strict honesty policy. And no, this is not a corporate thing. I'm not paid by anyone to say this, I'm not even influenced by anyone to say it. I purely come about this on my own. In my own thoughts, because I've been through some things in my life. Not been through worse than others, but I have been through enough to understand what they mean. And to empathise and stuff. And by far one of the biggest takeaways for me is an Indian. Oh sorry, that was another topic. The biggest takeaway from all that was just to be a kind, caring, empathetic person. And I realised that because in a world where there's a lot of hatred and violence, as it is, even with people who are supposedly peaceful, you can't really escape that reality without at least being honest about it. And one of the biggest problems is people just seem to push a narrative that's completely untrue or just unsafe for the rest of the world. And you know, I see this with a topic I probably mentioned, I mentioned it earlier, about protecting young women. And truthfully, prevention is the key there, and you only get to this stage of understanding if you drop bias, if you drop hatred and violence in favour of understanding, in favour of science. And that's really how you get to that conclusion. And not only is it a more rational way of thinking, it seems to be the best way to address these problems specifically. Because yeah, if we don't prevent what's happening to women around the world will essentially turn on everyone else. Means a disabled person like you, or someone like disabled person like mix it up, some disabled person like myself, or someone you know, or someone like you if you have a disability, are going to be deeply affected by the negatives of essentially a society where everything is violent, everything's unprotected, everyone's unprotected for that matter, and then the worst things are allowed to fester as a result. So what ends up happening here is, once again, when people don't favour these actions of being kind, being empathetic, you fuck everyone else. Like, literally. There's almost no escaping it, which is sad and frustrating. So it just leads to worse things in general, and that's why I realised, you know, even though it's weird to say, partly my dad is to thank for that, because he was one of the people who actually accepted my problems and said, like, you know what, I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm just going to tell you that you need to change. You need to be a better person. So he didn't say that exactly, but that's the impression I got when confronting the issue around my mental health breakdown, which is again where these thoughts started. And then after my first relationship in adulthood, when that ended, I was left with a lot to think about. Like, I want to be more like my ex-partner in a sense, because my ex-partner had, for the most part, a decent brain in her head, not the best one, because she had issues, like pretty severe ones, I'd say, at that. But they were manageable, I think, at least for the most part. But the ideas that she had was definitely in line with what I believe now. And realistically, I could have probably, it sounds cliche, but I could probably have fixed her. That sounds stupid, but yeah, I did believe that. But it's important. So the honesty policy came about because I realised the dangers in essentially ignoring people and causing harm through that. And you need to literally help people, because they'll just struggle if you don't help. And when that happens, when you're not honest about things, it can harm them even more. Because one of the biggest takeaways from my childhood is the fact that people lied to me about the things I did. Like, if I drew artwork, I knew it was bad, and then they'd come in and saying, like, it's fine, don't worry about it. But the very reality is that it wasn't fine. It was in fact awful. And in fact, people can't even read my handwriting. So that says a lot about my issues. So the fact that I was said even is just worrying, because I've had people judge my writing without seeing it and say that it's very much unreadable and very much written like a 5-year-old's. And that's the importance of honesty. Like, if I'd known, I would have begun to ask, like, okay, can someone else write this, or can I? Like, the thing is, even teachers try to cover it up. That's the fucking weirdest thing about that. They didn't give a shit that my handwriting was, like, bad. They just seemed to pass it off and didn't give a shit. It's just unfortunate. I wish they did care, because God, a lot of things would have changed. Had I the right equipment, had I the help to do this sort of thing, to help myself to write. Yeah, I would have loved a fucking typewriter. Even anything that I could write on would be just a godsend. So yeah, because that never happened, I struggled. And that's one of the reasons that I sort of got into this whole, okay, I need to base my beliefs on honesty. Because honesty also addresses the problem of bias. Because one of the things you have to acknowledge is where you're wrong with some things, you have to acknowledge that you're wrong with it completely. Meaning there's no influence, there's no sort of a personal reason you have for it. Like, for example, people want to oppress women. Let's go back to that topic. They do this because deep down they have a sickened version of their ideal world in their heads, and it's quite devastating to have. Because women are unfortunately affected by these things quite drastically, and more so than men ever will be. That's why there's a lot of discrimination and bias against women, unfortunately, because people are selfish. They think if they can control women, they can get whatever they want. Yeah, it goes that dark, unfortunately. That's what I mean with honesty. Realistically, though, those people probably won't want the same happening to them. So it just goes to show that with a bit of honesty, you can reveal these traits, reveal these even dark secrets, and address them properly. Again, prevention is key, as I mentioned before. But you only get to the conclusion of prevention by understanding what it is, what the issue is, and how you address it. Because sometimes it's not prevention, sometimes it's actually just direct action, or, okay, unfortunately we have to focus on helping the victims a lot more than we already do. You know, that's important, but I'd argue the other things are just as important too. Honestly, if you can reduce the rates at which sexual violence against women, for example, if prevention was the most effective method available, by all means we should go into it and obviously help the victims as much as we can. But unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of misinformation and obfuscation around this topic, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong. And really, we need to look at more effective methods to addressing this problem so that women can be safe and be free from sexual violence and even oppression. And this is again why I bring up honesty. And one of the other things that will definitely hit hard for people listening to this, if you're an incel, if you're misogynistic, if you have a hatred for women, just some dislike of sight, you don't want to be in their situation. Although there wasn't a thing I was going to say, for some reason it left my head, I think. It's something along those lines, I think. But that's the other thing, that's it, I remember now. It's because you're hurting. And that's one of the things that is surprisingly a big takeaway in like certain stories, in fictional stories. It's like when people are hurting the most, they can be their worst selves. I've literally seen that a lot. And it is concerning, for sure. Yeah, because of that, I think people are struggling and is causing others to struggle as a result. You know, one of the things I worry about, believe it or not, is with family. I struggle a lot with my current situation, and I often wonder, like, is it making my family struggle? There's a lot of stress there. Yeah. It's just strange. I think I've said most things, but that's for like the honesty policy thing. Again, it's like the antidote for most negativity, but also most misunderstandings. I mean, and just a way to get out of that habit. You know, it's a habit breaker essentially. That's what honesty is. You know, it's like sales. Obviously, I was drinking alcohol at one point. That's like the best example of this. Yeah, one of the things that I didn't like about it was the effects on my health and the fact that there was so much misinformation around how alcohol was tested in terms of health. But it turns out the wealthiest people who barely drink in the studies, as it turns out, were the people who are healthiest because they can afford the healthcare to address these problems caused by alcohol. So again, nothing is as it seems, and from an honesty aspect, people have to understand that that's now been debunked, and alcohol isn't actually as healthy and safe as you think it is. And it's probably one of the worst things for you, as it currently stands. So there is that a problem. There's no easy answer, I think. Yeah. Just strange. Another thing else is, I'm trying to convey my point across about honesty. I almost said envy. Convey my point about envy. Why not? But it's actually about honesty. Yeah, the thing with honesty is it's just so important to deconstructing bias. Literally. It's the biggest and best antidote I've found. And one of the things I try to push in a debate and argument, one of the things I find most effective, at least in my experience when I've talked about this anyway, like obviously text discussion, I can't do voice. People won't understand my voice, that's why I don't do it as well. There's many other issues too, anxiety. But I'm not covering anything up by doing that. That's the thing, I've just explained it. My speech is a problem, yep. And I have other problems as well that can impact it. Autism, can have meltdowns, I can not always convey my point properly. So I'm just trying to find out what my heated thing is. The heated football was great. I don't know if saviour because of my cold hands and feet problem. Foot fetish anyone? Anyway, I think that with honesty it just brings so many goddamn benefits. And it's literally surprising that it doesn't actually happen. It doesn't happen more frequently. Because critical thinking is actually a form of honesty, believe it or not. It's not the best form of honesty, but it is something, I think, for sure. So we need to address that and encourage people to be honest, even if they've committed a fucking horrendous crime. I'd argue it's still important, because without addressing that, it's not going to help, really. There's going to be little problems, and it's going to fester, it's going to get worse. There's a lot of worries around this sort of thing, and you can't really ignore that, to be honest. I think it's important to properly address this stuff, like, be honest, and people should be rewarded for honesty, for that matter, because, in the case of a horrific crime, you should be given a decent reward, for sure. I think people who try to cover it up, and also it doesn't need to be public knowledge. I think in crime it doesn't need to be. I think that's dangerous, and obviously it should be decided based on police and stuff, because people exploit that shit. I think murder is unforgivable, but there may be a rare case where someone does actually confess and doesn't feel right about it. So that just shows, really. Again, it's about not being exploitative of the system either. So the other thing I was going to say, I can't remember. There's a lot to talk about when talking about honesty, but I guess I'll just try and sum it up. The honesty policy is literally, it's not necessarily a policy actually. It's more like a pledge, an honesty pledge I'll call it, not policy. Although I guess it could be in some ways, but I'll just call it a pledge. Lemon pledge. So with lemon pledge, you're just honest about everything, even if you're wrong. If you think that you're wrong somewhere, you just say it. And if you think that you could be wrong, again, you say it. I've said it multiple times, this fucking thing. So it's interesting. I think that's really important to sort of understand. Well, I've never really kept secrets, to be honest. But it's too difficult to do, even then, because of this, again, honesty pledge that I'm making. It's been a year-long sort of process to refine this, obviously, and to get it right. But I think it's really important, because I really don't see how a world can function properly without honesty. I hear a lot about people, even in politics and stuff, where they just don't admit things. Like, you've got reform councils going on, fucking... Why do we call them councillors? Like, can we just call them for what they fucking are? They're like MPs and assistants. They're not councillors, fuck off. That's the thing with honesty. I realise that there's a flaw in that wording, but yeah, for these MPs anyway, when they go on to an interview or debate, sort of TV show or whatever, why the fuck aren't they just admitting that they're wrong? I remember someone being confronted on disability in work, I think it was, or was it schools? I think it was schools actually. And literally a guy was saying, like, he's a head teacher of a school, and he notices that students have a lot of mental health problems and stuff. And they literally need to assign ways for children to address the mental health, but there's unfortunately no help for them. So it just fucks everything up, and this reformed MP was like, no, that's your problem, that's not us, we can't do anything about it, as if, like, it's just so fucking stupid. Like, obviously they can do something about it, they're the ones that should be funding schools to address mental health problems, especially as a result of policies that Reform are doing. So they need to be honest and say, yeah, we don't give a shit. And they also have to mention how they're going to address a problem like that. Where, okay, you've removed children's rights, you've removed their access to mental health facilities, even like our school clubs. I've heard something talked about with Zach Polanski on Bob Politics. The reduction of after school clubs and stuff like that, where people can essentially get help, additional help in school or even outside, it's ended up taking a big toll on children, because there's essentially no community anymore. And pretty much most life takes place on the phone now. It's just a shame. Children won't get to experience the wonders of meeting new people, even those who are more vulnerable, who probably need help in that situation too. So it's important. Yeah, it's just strange. And I think it does need to be addressed, but yeah, the Reform MP being very dishonest is concerning. Because it shows there isn't actually a let's protect the kids narrative. They're not fucking doing that, they're using it as a mask. Like, Jesus Christ, people. And that's the thing, voters need to understand that they're being dishonest here. Because they're not actually saying that the MP is wrong. They're not even pointing it out. They're not even saying, like, oh, hey, I'm a Reform voter. Let's address this problem. But, they're not going out on TikTok and comments and telling this to people, not saying, even on the pages they disagree with for some reason they appear in. They're not even saying that. They're not even saying, like, oh, yeah, your MP's not great, but ours isn't perfect either. Like, are you fucking kidding me? There's zero honesty. Like, at all. It's just disappointing. Because there's so many ways you could do this, but they're just choosing the fucking worst possible method there is. So, again, you're left with nothing, because they're not giving you an answer. That's the thing I noticed with the lack of honesty, is like they don't give straight answers. And also it reveals corruption as well. Like, let's say that people are stupid enough to actually confess about this sort of thing. So, yeah, it's bad. At least they confess. If we find out that a Reform MP is just like said that they actually took bribes from a Russian source, respect for coming out. But I'm not going to respect you for taking the bribe. Absolute dickheads. But still, it's a better world to be in, because these people are laying out their true colours and stuff. Being honest, I definitely can't complain about that. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot to be done, I think, with honesty and whatever. Like, people don't have social skills, that's the thing. That's the thing I notice a lot these days, because even though I don't have any, I notice a lot of people just have worse ones. I'd rather be quiet and close-minded, not close-minded, open-minded, and I got them mixed up, rather than loud and close-minded. I think that's pretty much been a blessing for me for the most part. I just wish people understood that. I just don't talk much, and I don't have much to talk about. I can't even really talk much about things. But yeah, that's the honesty pledge, and I do encourage other people to take it themselves, because it's pretty important. It's important to me personally, and it's going to be important to others when they get these issues addressed, essentially. I think it would be good. Yeah. It's quite concerning, though, the fact that there's a lack of honesty. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I can add? I think I've pretty much addressed everything. So yeah, let's move on to this topic. So, I've got an interesting story, and this relates to, believe it or not, Michael Jackson. Yeah, it's probably been a long time since people have heard his name. Might be a long time since you've heard his music. But I remember the day he died, and it was all over the fucking news, it was all over the radio, you couldn't avoid it. Even people were talking about it, even kids were fucking talking about Michael Jackson. And it was just a crazy time. It's not like a negative thing. It's just more like one of these things where you realise, like, oh, okay, he's dead. Like, I'm not sure if that's good or bad. Well, to be honest, I didn't know much of his music, so it's hard to say, but he's fine as a person. It's genuinely not much bad I could say about him. And also, given the lack of evidence around the things he was accused of, it's kind of hard to say. So there's always a bit of a mixed message in that sense. But I do find it interesting. So, yeah, it's definitely a scenario, sure. about the day he died. I'm gonna look it up actually. When did Michael Jackson? 2009. Damn, it feels later than that for some reason. 25th of June 2009. Damn. Yeah, sad though. Yeah, it's definitely a pretty sad day in my opinion, because I think he had a big influence in music and for pop artists as well. And it's one of those things. So yeah, I didn't know his cause of death for a while, and then eventually as it came out that the doctor supposedly killed him, he had a heart attack or something. There's all sorts of fucking information out there for some reason. There's also that weird creepy news story where like the day he died, someone found a cloud reflected in the, for some reason, a car that looks like Michael Jackson. Just very strange, not sure. But it was a fucking crazy time. It was a crazy few months, I think it was. Because like, I don't think anybody truly got over his death. Yeah, it's definitely like we lost one of the best pop artists ever, and literally if you listen to his early stuff, even when he was like 14, he's absolutely like goated in terms of music. And it's just a shame that he passed away, because you know nowadays we need someone like him to sort of steer the music industry in a good direction. Because at the moment the music industry is just a complete disaster. You know, it's all corporatised, all capitalised, and also so much wrong with the planet as well. You know, given that he was already talking about Earth Day and also like Man in the Mirror and stuff, that was a pretty famous song. It doesn't surprise me that he could have possibly been one of the best activists of today if he was still around. You know, it's literally one of the craziest stories that could have ever happened, I think. Yeah, the one thing I remember when he passed as well is when the radios were just playing his music only, which is kind of shitty, but yeah, just got annoying after a while, to be honest. But fun facts, I think of the only 3 or 4, might have even been 5, disc albums I owned, one of them happened to be in Michael Jackson's band, and I fucking love that album. So many great songs. I like Dirty Down, I like Beauty, I like Bad. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. There's so many good tracks on there, and I remember listening to it back a few years ago when I was just going through music stuff. And yeah, I fucking loved it then as well. Just so many good tracks. Just there's unrivaled talent in terms of Michael Jackson and what he was writing. There was really nothing like it back then. That's why his music was always kind of unique, even though it's the older stuff. Some of the newer stuff wasn't as great in my opinion. You know, it's one of those things, I think. For some reason, as you get older, the music just sounds worse. God, I'm getting old. I'm only 28. Ain't that a fucking Guns N' Roses lyric? Yeah, I think it is, from Strange. Yeah, it was a bizarre time though. I don't know if many people will remember that if they're born around the 2000s or 90s. Yeah, Michael Jackson's passing was definitely one of those things. Certainly a moment, I guess. Yeah, it's just that passing though. Also, like, he wasn't even that old, I don't think. He was in his 50s, I think. Yeah, must have been. Yeah, it's a real shame, really. Just wanted to share that memory, though. Also, I remember like teachers even sort of being a bit on the verge of tears about it, because yeah, honestly, it was a pretty inspiring person. He's probably more inspiring now that he's gone, unfortunately. Now that he's gone, I'd say. Well, a decade ago. That's just like, been 16 years, Jesus. It really doesn't feel like that long. It's crazy. I still can't believe how long it's been. That's absolutely nuts to me. Anyway, we'll move on. Got stuff to do again. So, for those who don't know, I'm actually a big Hill the Sun fan. And this is a band I've heard through Rocksmith and it is amazing. I fucking love this band. Like, there's so many good things I can say about the drum work, the bass, the guitars are incredible, and the vocals are really good. And they've consistently made great songs. And admittedly they've slowed down a bit in recent times, but I don't mind. Honestly, they can take the time of it, and I don't mind. That's all I can say on that. Favourite album? I'm not actually sure. I think it'd have to be what's the one with the knife in it? The Solace discography. Why was Wake suggested? Look at this word. Mental Life, that was it, I think. Or was it? New Age Filth was actually really good too. But I'm not sure. I think New Age Filth actually, probably, because it had a lot of interesting and unique songs. I really liked them. I wanted to talk about the recent album, which I just listened to, cut.turn.fade.back. It's extremely good. Like, it's not as good as the older albums, I'll be honest. It's just a bit lower. But I think the meaning behind these tracks hits deeper and heavier than before. Which is crazy because from what I remember of the older tracks, they definitely were deep. But they obviously had a lot of guitar work and I was kind of carrying that. Yeah, extremely talented people though. And drums, I forgot about drums, I forgot to mention that. The drums are really impressive too. Also with Donovan being insanely talented, doing drums and vocals at the same time. At least used to. Yeah, I'm surprised. This album was definitely really good. And I've wrote down a few sort of notes here about each one. Drawing Class, I thought was alright. I think it was decent. I wouldn't say it's my favourite song. There's not to be offensive, I still liked it. I could listen to it. I'm not exactly sure what it's about exactly. Maybe I misread it, but I could go back into the lyrics actually, it's still got the lyrics open. I guess that's about... oh Jesus, it's about murder. Okay, so I guess maybe it's about like psychos, yeah, psychosis. Yeah. People who just praying that sort of shit. Oh god, the image for it is terrifying. What the hell? Okay, let's not look at that. It's literally creepypasta. Yeah, it's a good song. The next song is There Is No Place in Heaven for Fakes. It's pretty decent. Again, I'm not sure what I understood the meaning of it. It seems to be about people who like fake virtual signals, or maybe it's like influencers. It seems to be people faking that sort of virtual signaling. It could be even about corporations actually, now I think about it. Like how corporations seem to have turned their back on various minorities, like people of colour, LGBTQ plus people, and even disabled people, and immigrants. You know, there's plenty of places where that sort of thing happens where they are fake. And it's kind of crazy that we live in this world. But that's becoming more and more common. A bit sad. So that definitely hits hard. What's the next track? Next track is Insensitive Temper. This was really good too. So scary, but good. I'll describe it as scary. Yeah, guessing it's about relationships. It seems to be. Oh, don't finish this up. I forgot about the murder scene. Just skip back to the video there. Yeah, violent assault and stuff. Is it about abuse? Yeah, it was actually, yeah, I saw in the comments. It's about how abusers get away with horrible shit and essentially don't get persecuted. And you know, it's like there's just claim that people are, or at least authorities, get into the minds of these people and sort of speak about knowing better than them, but that's not exactly true. Like, and also, sometimes people can't be trusted. And that's the problem with the justice system as well. As it's been pointed out countlessly. You know, people can do the most horrific things and then get a slap on the wrist. Literally. Just because they, put on the tier works, or said wants to be rehabilitated, which is fine, but I think people need to understand that you can't just fake your way out of that, and really that should be the punishment. You know, you can get rehabilitation, that should be the reward, ideally. But, yeah, you literally can't fucking weasel your way out of it, honestly. That's why the justice system is so broken, especially towards abuse victims, because they don't get any compensation, they don't get any sort of justice from this. That's what I'm trying to find the word for. Yeah, so again, scary, sad, sure. But then the next song is Blight. Holy fucking shit. It was amazing. It's the best track I heard at that moment. And it's surprisingly good. Oh, Jesus. It seems to be about, like, I don't know, simulation? Consciousness and stuff. It's like really, I guess, existential dread, maybe? Maybe read the lyrics again. That's compared to that annoying YouTube link thing. Great. Paranoia. Maybe. Crossing with the slightest glitch. Sounds but they're out of pitch. Even though the difference is even different timeline simulation. Different timeline simulation. Which one am I in? Yeah, it's just like paranoia, I guess. Yeah, crazy. But I really like the mix of genres in this. It honestly is incredible. Yeah, so it goes like dark, creepy, metal and jazz in that as well. It's amazing. I really like this track. So I'm getting distracted and playing a game at the same time. It's just, let's see, what do I do? Viper. Yeah, so the next song is Consumed With You. I thought it was alright. I'm not exactly sure what the meaning is exactly. It seems like comforting someone with a bad situation, then finding out something about them. I'm not exactly sure. Look at the comments section. Most beautiful songs. How would consider my son hailed? Who are hailing me son? It's kind of like, oh yeah, could this be about those types of relationships? What are they called? It's not sympathy relationships. Sympathy fucking? I don't know, but it's something like that. It's like a toxic sort of relationship sort of thing where I suppose that people tend to just do this weird shit where they target people who are in a desperate situation, unfortunately. And you know, that gets out of hand, for sure. Yeah, people struggle with that, obviously. But, yeah, it sort of gets exploited and stuff, and obviously the relationship doesn't work out. Because of crap like that. So that's why that happens. So, yeah, not sure what's that. So I think that pretty accurately describes that. The next song I could tell by Skulls. What's I cry about this one? Yeah, I thought it was okay. I really liked the bridge and the solo there. I thought they were great. Really different. What about the lyrics? Again, I keep forgetting to look at this on the Celtic Sky. Yeah, I guess it's about trauma. seems to be what it tells. Yeah, I could be wrong. I'm just making guesses here. I'm not the best at paying attention to the lyrics, to be honest. I've never really been the type of person to pay full attention to it. Yeah, it's not to say that the lyrics are bad, obviously, it's just to say I'm not very good at paying attention. Yeah, that's it. There's nothing sort of bad about that. So, not sure. What's the next thing? Next song is Building Code. Yeah, I quite like this song. It feels crazy, it feels real heavy, and the intro is great. Not sure why I wrote there. I really like the composition aspect of this. It definitely sounds a bit different. And some fun guitar parts. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw a meaning of this. Used to wish I was dead, regret shit. Yeah, that's it. It's like about regret, essentially. I definitely feel this for sure. Because yeah, I've had plenty of regret, believe it or not. You know, people compliment me a lot on being a nice person, and then I look back to childhood, and well, I was actually an arsehole. Yeah, for more reasons than one actually, and one even led to police getting involved. So yeah, it's not fucking good. But obviously, if I could go back in time and stop that, I fucking would. It's probably more of a selfish thing. I'd rather use that to prevent disaster for other people actually, rather than my own issue. It's more like, okay, let's address the primary issues first, and then that could even prevent what I do. Like, who knows? Anyway, the next track is Relapses of Love Affair. It's really heavy. I really like the heavy slidey guitar riffs about just past halfway through the song. So it's really unique. I know what the song is about. It's basically previous drug addiction and relapsing from that. I think it's also like a letter to. I could be wrong, if I could have misunderstood this with the footage as well. I think it's like addressing the Donovan addressing his childhood. It's like a letter to his younger self. Yeah, I could have understood wrong, as I said. The next track is Brother's Destiny, and in my opinion, it's one of the best songs yet. It hits deep, and I could have misunderstood the reading, but I think it's about Trump. It's pretty obvious, to be honest. It definitely seems like it's addressing that corrupt bastard in president, you know. It's just, it's not surprising that there is a song about this, to be honest, because it's well overdue. I made one myself, my original music's not very good. Wish I could do better. Yeah, it's a great track. Next track on this album is War Crimes, and this one is really good too. I will say I probably misunderstood the meaning again, unfortunately, but I'm pretty sure this is about everything going on at once. So we're talking about Israel, Russia, and America. Essentially, they're all in bed with each other, and even like the UK to an extent. It's a crap country. Just essentially being in bed with each other through corruption, and this song's really good. It really pushes that point home. Yeah, it's just good to see that a band is actually making music about this situation, especially the comments about seeing children torn apart. Literally, that has to be fucking Gaza, right? Like, literally, free Palestine. Not that nothing else needs to be said, other than politicians need to be investigated. Yeah, it's a very heavy song, obviously, like, as a result of that. And again, I'm just glad that it's being addressed. But overall, I really like the album. There's not really much bad I can say about it. It's pretty damn good. It's a very relevant album too, given everything that's going on. Like, to an extent, it almost feels like Donovan's been listening to what I've said. But then again, it's probably out there in the news and stuff, and with the influx of TikTok and whatever, you probably get that stuff recommended to you. It seems to be a pretty common thing in people who sort of lean into these sort of topics anyway. Like drug addiction and whatever. Like, there's plenty of things here that can be addressed and stuff, even relationships. Yeah, I recommend the album if you like indie rock, or rock, whatever, and to an extent it's metal as well. Like, I think metalheads can get some enjoyment out of this for sure. I remember an interesting screaming part in one of the tracks. I can't remember what it was, but it definitely amazed me. I don't think I've heard Donovan scream like that before. Wait, have I got his name wrong? Hang on. I might have just embarrassed myself. Yeah, Donovan. Yeah, again, pretty good his album, and it's great. So, let's move on to the next topic. Well, I've got to record an outro for this because I've just got off a while. But it'd be good to render this already. I'm surprised about how many topics I get through. Even though I don't have any plans, I'm thinking like, okay, just carry on my day. So I'm done with everything like that. It's always like there's something else around the corner. It's just frustrating. I feel like this podcast topics are probably a bit more deeper than usual. I'm talking about my teeth, winter, yeah. It's a bit of childhood there. Talking about the channel, what's left, Fantasy 14, get fun. HYPERSKY, yeah, there's like a few different topics. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening, and see everyone tomorrow.